Well, I see many friends online. But I still have 2-3 minutes, so I'll just wait for those 2-3 minutes and start at 7 sharp. But I was just testing um, my system, so I hope I'm audible. Um, okay, I think I can start now, and I see number of my friends are there. I said, मुझे प्रॉब्लम होता है भाइयों और बहनों और मित्रों कहने में. I think it's a difficult way to start, but just a lot of young people and friends who are part of the Shabnam's endeavor, which is, she's an amazing woman, finds ways to engage with people, um, and she asked me to do this today, and of course we both go back a long way, and right from 2002. And so somewhere, I think the common thread between both of us एक बहुत जिसे कहते हैं कि अजीब किस्म का रिश्ता है, जो एक दफा इतना गाढ़ हो गया 2002 में साथ काम करते करते कि अब नहीं भी बात करें महीनों भर फिर भी चलता है. But again, she sort of put me back into the communalism frame, which is, of course, which is a continuing frame since 2002. Um, what I just want to say is कि कोरोना वायरस के पहले, बहुत पहले, एक कम्युनल वायरस जो बहुत धीरे धीरे हमारे समाज में, इन आवर सोसाइटी हैज been running, and it's sort of found a, जैसे जब बहुत परू हो जाता है तो it finds expression, and I just see that 2002 was one expression, and why do I say that it was a communal virus, and I still say it's a communal virus? इसका I think इसके पीछे जो कहानी है, the story is, many of you know that I was part of the Human Rights Commission as a monitoring authority for Gujarat, for the earthquake and then for the riot with my colleague Nambudri. And I've repeated this story, but I want to repeat it because to me that's the point. It told me it's a virus. Um, it's a virus which spreads and has continuously been spreading without any. And I'll come to how, therefore, it has even the corona or a COVID-19 has further sort of accentuated the virus both sides. The communal virus has got a impetus, and the communal virus has given the pandemic COVID-19 an impetus. It's mutually, in a sense, giving each other a. But the story I want to tell you is that I remember going around the camps in 2002, the relief camps. और जो कैंप्स के अंदर हो रहा था वो तो अपने आप में एक अलग बात है, the kind of situation that was there. But I remember coming out of one of the camps in Shah Alam in Ahmedabad and seeing a Dalit basti where just outside that, and I saw children playing um, a game where there were some who were dressed up as uh, the Bajrang Dalis with carrying arrows, and another set of people had become the Muslims, young boys, and these young boys were going on saying, "Chalo miyaon ne marwa jaiye." I came back and wept that day at home. I said, "Boy, it's." I have seen riots in Ahmedabad. I've been part of the army convoy showing them routes 65, 75, all that history. And I'm sure Ram Punyani is far better in tracing history for you. But I came back and wept that day, and I wept very bitterly. I said, "Boy, it's gone to children." And children are the ones who are now um, sort of taking it up as a game. I used to play cops and robbers, चोर पुलिस खेलते थे, but मियाओं को मारने चले, ये एक इंटरनलाइज गेम हो गई है. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा वायरस हमारे समाज में घुस गया है. 2002 की बात कर रहा हूँ. And therefore I give it the darja of the virus. And those to me were the first evidences that it is no longer just an economic, look at it, riots are economic. There are many theories around why riots take place in Gujarat, why violence takes place in Gujarat. But to me, this indicated that it no longer is only economic, it's no longer only political, it's no longer just a religious based thing, but that now it is socio cultural, economic, politics all mixed together, and therefore we say it's viral. You cannot just leave it. You can try to catch it from one end, it'll come out from the other end. Um, what are the? I mean, if you look at the roots of it, where would one find the roots of this virus? The Some people will go back to Akbar, Babri Masjid. You can go back any amount of history, and then history will give you both sides, and you can get confused about it. To me, the Indian identity of as a nation starts in 47. And 47, there was a huge communal violence, and we had a two-nation state, one based and religion, and we and many, I mean, uh, the major percentage of Muslims in India chose to be Indians, and we gave ourselves a constitution. Technically, politically, the religion had to then become what I call a personal matter. It never became. 47 to 2020, religion has not become an entirely spiritual, personal matter. It is constantly being used as a political tool and therefore fanned continuously. Uh, for me, today, if I look at it, the virus has spread so deep um, that, and it is based very deep from the point that today it's no longer Muslims, it's Islam. So it's moved from Muslim to Islam. We are now demonizing the very root of the religion. And unfortunately, the way the Tablighi issue was handled, it was not even looked at as a Pakistan India thing, which is normally how the present political regimes try to make it. It's gone now to Islam and linked itself to the larger pan-Islamic phobia that is there in the world. Um, but what am I seeing it do? I'm seeing it pushing what I call Hinduism towards fanaticism. Islam to theek hai. I mean, it's to me one of the most peaceful, peace-loving religions in the world, one of the most modern religions in the world. And if you really want to understand what Islam is, please attend my very dear friend Saida Hamid's workshops, which I think many of you may have attended. Um, but what is it doing to Hinduism? Is the concern that I have. I mean, I'm an atheist. I watch um, the religious discourses of different people. But I mean, to me, this last few 10, 12, 15 years of post 2002, the fanaticism of the um, Hinduism, which was otherwise a way of life, the way Justice Verma called it, um, problematic at one level, but at least it allowed engaging with the other from a compassionate point of view, absorbing food, culture, everything to become now a fanatic um, way of how Hindus should behave and Hindus should hate. Um, so you are a Hindu if you hate a Muslim. When you build this construct, um, I think it's a virus because it's infected your mind. It's sort of very clearly that you have been fed with so much of misinformation that you have begun to hate. The person who is hated, I can understand what the person may be going through, but the person who is hating is ready to be violent and to kill. And therefore, Hinduism has been converted into a tool to kill people. Um, and my dear friend Harsh will always talk of the various post 2002 killings and these things of in Rajasthan and everywhere. And he goes and visits those families, and he can tell you much more of the nuances of how this hate has panned out. I think, therefore, when what is hate? It pushes you become so intolerant, um, and therefore you think that there is a domination. Intolerance lets you dominate and legitimizes you to dominate because you seriously believe that the Muslims are and Islam is the problematic which needs to be eradicated. When this construct comes in your mind, then the personal space of religion is dealt with, it goes away, and it only becomes how you communalize it. Therefore, you build communes of hatred. And therefore, to me, the new definition of communal is that you're constantly building newer and newer ways to build your commune, which is based on an identity, a religious identity, and is essentially idea is to hate. Now, why do I talk of this in length? Because I come to 2020 and the virus that is going on, and just about 3 weeks back, I got a call from my youth, Muslim youth, who have been working on peace and conflict, whatever, saying that the DCP 5, Zone 5 of Ahmedabad, a very young man wants to see you. He's Ravi Teja, an IPS officer from Andhra. I went there and I spoke to him, and he said, we have heard about what you people do and you're doing kits and all that, but I have a problem. My problem is that I have 5,000 migrants in my zone. We have done the listing, and we're done by actually some of our colleagues. This is also helped by IIM in Ahmedabad. And they say we have done this 5,000 listing, and in the initial time, I got people to give them food, but nobody is now willing to give them food. I said, look, I've never been into food business. I mean, distributing ration kits was up to the maximum one had gone during the riots and a lot during the earthquake. But I just don't know how to do this kitchen setting up and then this thing. So we said, why don't we in the zone get these migrants to do their own kitchens, and we could provide the wherewithal, but they cook themselves. In any case, why should they be sitting and doing nothing and reduce them to just being beggars? They can cook their own food the way they like instead of being given what some curry khichdi Swaminarayan style. Let them do. I mean, at least they have an access to. Maybe they are from UP. They have their own needs of food. When we And so we agreed and we set up those 12 community kitchens. But what I want to say is, out of those 5,000, 4,800 were Muslim young boys. And when I got that information, I said, what? The entire Zone 5, the only ones who are not being fed and are labor are Muslim young boys. And when I went to really met them, young boys between 13, 14, and 25, 30, staring into nothingness, locked out around factories, um, and just, I mean, zombied out, very scared to move out, and holed up in small places. But the point is, what did this pandemic do? It discriminated to the fact that in the end, you when you went to find those who are migrants and who have nothing, they are all one religion. I said, I've never seen. You can understand they could be mixed. There will be certain percentage or certain type, but 100%. But the interesting thing was that they kept saying, हम अपना बना लेंगे, but थोड़े गरीब जो जो भिखारी हैं आजू बाजू उनको भी खिला देंगे. सवाल यह है कि हमने मुसलमानों को भीख मांगने से का एक दर्जा ऊपर बना के अभी तक ले आए. और this is what makes me feel very angry. What is at the base of this? I think we need to also understand. At the base of this, I think, and the last 15 years, given this specific government and the Gujarat model and that being replicated, is that inequality has risen by leaps and bounds. And when inequality goes to such extreme, you need to divide and rule. And religion becomes a very easy way to divide and rule people, so that you have the you have a conflict to deal with at your own level. So it is the poor Hindu and the poor Muslim who have to fight with each other, and so that the larger inequality can remain a non-issue and nobody is looking at it. It's ugly. I mean, you look at the Oxfam report, and you should look at it. I'm on that board, and it's ugly the way you see one migrant or one labor can take 1,400 odd years in terms of his income to match the income of a what do you call senior CEO of a multinational. This is ugly. This is not a sustainable way of living in this planet, and it will produce pandemics like this. Um, I ask those, again, as I'm an atheist, I ask those who really believe in in death and life after death and things like that. Why are we not saying that this pandemic is punishing those who have sinned? and who has sinned? Uh, is it? I mean, if one goes into that construct, I really say it's sinful. It's sinful what is happening. I think, therefore, this paradox of poverty and plenty um, in such extremes implicitly makes the communalism as a virus become a way to engage. But if I compare it with COVID, this is what the problem is. Today, everybody is scared. It's scared. धारावी में आ जाएगा तो क्या हो जाएगा? अब धारावी में क्यों आएगा? क्योंकि 1 million people are locked in, huddled in spaces which are unhealthy. Everybody knew that. But now, when this comes in, then we are very worried that this will affect us all. And I'm saying that only, that yes, maybe this pandemic is helping us realize that the primary virus is when you have created these kind of hate-based politics, which is now not working, and therefore you'll have to start looking at alternate ways of new politics, listening to it. Uh, Let me also go a little bit and uh, yeah, Gaur is saying communal agenda is a political agenda, and of course it's a political agenda, but I just want to underscore this, that it it when the political agenda is take India has used that political agenda. It's come to power. It's the Hindu right wing government which is in power. Now what? What else do they want to do? Do they want to send all the Muslims somewhere out? And I'm saying they can't do that. What are it? What did they try to do in the Northeast? What is the NRC? You look at one after the other elements to say you want to disenfranchise the Muslims, disenfranchise them into a way that they are not part of the political process at all. Is that possible? I don't think so. I don't think it's possible. Um, because, I mean, that would, in a sense, dehumanize this nation state. And I don't think that your Hindu identity will allow us to become that demonous that we will forget that there are some constitutional values that we have to live to. So I'm seeing this pandemic and the previous few months which have happened as a, a clear process to see that I think a corrective process will start in society. Political processes will try to further it, but I think if they are really true Hindus, they will have to learn their lesson and have to make a course correction in their system. Uh, I want to also say what is the state doing in this? Is it nurturing this violence? It was. Is it nurturing it even in the pandemic stage? I'm saying it had created so much of a division that now it doesn't have to. It's the communal communities which are creating that division again and again. And therefore, they have to just allow it to happen by default because the virus, communal virus, is already set in. And therefore, they have to be apolitical now. But in practice, you will see huge discrimination going on the basis of religion. And I gave you this example of 5,000. I would love to have the The census, the labor commissioner, central labor commissioner, has asked all state governments in a recent order to say, please give us who are your migrants across each state, from where they come, their names, and this is actually given a format. My friend from CHRI, Venkatesh, did RTI and said, Mr. Commissioner, Labour, Central Government, you had sent this little notification asking for details from every state Labour Commissioner. Have you got the details? If so, give us those details so we know who they are. And the Central Labour Commissioner tells, no state government has complied. Now, the good question to ask is, migrancy, the last level of what I say, the last post before pauperization. Um, why do people migrate from rural areas to urban areas when the rural systems does not feed them? They go and are living in subhuman conditions in what I see in Ahmedabad, I've seen in Mumbai, in Bangalore. Why are they ready to do that? And who are they? Do we have any census ideas? How many of them are Muslims? How many of them are, what is the percentage? Is the percentage of Muslim migrants more than the total percentage of Muslims in the country? I can bet my this thing that they are at least 5 to 7 times more in percentage than their other religion based this thing, which is very clear to say that the pauperization of the Muslims economically is almost been complete. These are, to me, some of the aspects which I think we need to factor in when we try to lens the pandemic relief. Link this up, of course, with the Dalit issue. Up to 2002, I always thought that the Dalit discrimination was the worst. For 15 years or 20 years of my life, I was a Dalit activist. I still am. The, the point really is that you, while post 2002, you in quick succession also had the flogging issues of Dalits. And I'm talking of the Una and the many other incidents across, where suddenly, in spite of a lot of strides made by using the Atrocity Act, there was and there is a certain violence against the Dalits also, and has been on the increase. I have gone on record earlier and to say, is both the violences same, or is there a difference in the violence on the Dalits and the difference in the violence on Muslims? And I'll come to women later on because to me that takes the larger frame. And I have maintained this as a thesis, and many of my friends can check it out. To me, the violence against Dalits these days is out of jealousy. There's a Gujarati word, "Sala vanthai gaya che," agad ai gaya che. They have come ahead. And how dare they come ahead? So let's whip them. The Una violence, and that they're taking control of economics. They have technology, and they are able to find the right price for dead cattle in Kanpur. And therefore, earlier they would just guess 100 rupees. Today they have chakras in which they can load the animal and sell the stuff not to the local giants of Ahmedabad or in Rajkot, but sell the bones and all direct to Kanpur and get more money. And therefore, जिसको हम ईर्ष्या कहते हैं, दलितों के साथ में एक ईर्ष्या का व्यवहार से उनको मारा जा रहा है. Educationally, they're doing better. They're doing reservations hai, and you know what reservation has created so much of stark hostility. Yeah. So my position is that Dalit violence goes up due to primarily irsha, jealousy, whereas the violence on Muslims is out of despite and hate. And therefore, the two are very different. The way Pehlu Khan is beaten and the way Una floggings are done. And to me, we need to understand why is the Hindu fanaticism working one way with the Muslims, but is also trying to see that the Brahmanical order is not disturbed. 2002 had sent me some feelers into this because at the front line of the actual violence was the Bajrang Dal, which is nothing but the monkey dal, and the monkey dals had to be largely controlled by the Dalits versus the Muslims. So you had more cases of Bajrang Dalis who were punished. Um, but in this case of the present violence, after that, it is not the Dalits who are beating the Muslims, killing the Muslims. It is it is the it's the upper caste, which is really despising and hating. And therefore, if you look at law, in all these cases across, there is no justice. And our justice system is not geared to deal with hate-based violence because it is legitimized by state after state that they don't want to bring justice when there is a hate-based violence against Muslims. Take the cases, look at the Atrocity Act, and we at least have success rate of 25%, 30% conviction. But when it comes to violence on Muslims, the percentage is far, far lower. So therefore, for me, it's important to differentiate between the two, and therefore say this further legitimizing process is going on. I think Assam was botched up, and much of what happened after the NRC in Assam had been so badly botched up that I think a number of Hindus who started seeing the game and what Gaur says, and I bring it there, that saw this finally as a political game very apparent. And because the way it was botched up, and I think the Shaheen Nagars that came up just not in Delhi but across the city, the country, and the way young people, young Hindus, saw through this and started seeing this, I I really think is the turning point. So I would still say Shaheen Nagar remains the turning point of bringing in young Hindus who now see that that this is entirely a political game, entirely meant for political victory, and that the Gujarat model was being attempted at a national level. And I'm very, very confident it will not work because I think Gujarat was mesmerized by um, by by many factors, of a particular way of the way they planned it. But I'm very hopeful that it will never work in a country like India, where it's just that you have the centralized approach of one hero, um, uh, which was the Gujarat model. Gujarat model of a single person um, centralizing, killing any form of dissent, even within the ruling party, whether it was killing or sidelining of their own political forces. Um, and therefore, this hero worship, um, which developed in Gujarat, I think was attempted in a very big way in India by the present party. I, and I'm very sure that the handling of the pandemic um, is showing that this was the time when we needed to decentralize to handle it, and it cannot be a centralized way to handle this pandemic. Therefore, we lost 1 month with just one man coming in on television and even teaching the whole nation how to wear a mask. I keep saying, was the job of the top CEO of this country, who what he thinks, is to train every 1 crore 30 lakh people how to wear a mask? Is that his job? I think that is the hollowness of the centralization. We've changed. I mean, I think if we don't decentralize and don't allow local leadership, irrespective of religion, to actually handle the coronavirus, we will go viral and still more viral and still more viral. And I don't think so. We have even come near the end of it. So for me, this is the point of change and re-looking and reimagining and coming back to basics. And here is what I say is, I think, who will be the caregivers? Where will the compassion come from? What about those values? I last 2 days, I've been almost feeling sick watching pregnant women walking hundreds of kilometers from Mumbai to, so much that I called up my friends in Yuva, I called up my friends in Oxfam, and I called up my own friends within Janvikas. I said, please, I mean, they will walk. I mean, they have nothing left here. But at least, can we set up a system to provide them food and water? Essentially, they should never walk. But if they are walking, I mean, we have dehumanized um, human beings to such an extent. And I think this is what will send the message to anybody who's watching, that this virus of communal virus, what I say, is such a meaningless virus in the head, and therefore hopefully will debunk that that's not the way to go, and that the way to go is building governance from below. And I keep saying health will become the major arena of engagement. That's where what I say, the entire infrastructure and a new way of working will have to be thought through. Um, and then we can sort of say whether within that, what will we do with those new games that were being played in 2002? Will we change those games through education? Will we again go back to um, to what I say, the values of the Constitution? Will we again go back to a politics of competence, of women taking the lead as caregivers in the whole frame? And in all that, what are, because the other thing that's going to go to happening is consumption based economies are going to go for a six. All these consumption based toy-based, what I call um, toy-based industry and all that is going to go away. Um, we will have to start looking at investing in food-based, health-based, and therefore investing in agriculture, in food. These will become the new way to do things. People are. It's interesting. This I got a feedback this morning saying that in Gujarat they have asked healthcare workers, especially sanitation workers, who otherwise were being paid 9,000 rupees. They need sanitation workers for COVID setups, and they are ready to pay 40,000 rupees a month, and they're not getting people. This will hopefully send the signal that people who work with their hands have been, you can't take them for granted. You can't buy them with money. And on the other hand, their true value was 40,000 because now you're ready to pay them 40,000. So I think the virus of discrimination linked with the communal virus has, in a sense, hopefully opened our eyes when this corona pandemic virus comes. And therefore, if we are not able to deal with these two, to my mind, corona will not go away. I will, I'm not a great long lecture talker, and I'll stop here. Shabnam, if you're listening or there are any questions which I can have a look. Um, ah, yeah, Sejal tells me that there are 15 lakh migrants only from Narol, that's Ahmedabad. So I'm saying there is no number game available. We have been using human species um, like ants, Surat. They're all migrants from Rajasthan and Orissa, and they are getting angry. And once they get angry, they're not going to be Muslims or Hindus. They're going to be migrant labor who will want, who will become violent. And therefore, a new violence will not fall the prey of a communal divide because they're going to ask fundamental questions. And if they're not going to come back, many of them saying, we'll see, I don't know whether it's worthwhile coming back. Because when the time came, nobody, this city did not bother about us. And we ran the economy of this country. I think these are the new questions that will be asked um, by, by, by millions of people who have experienced this in their own way. Um, and therefore, is it all about, and I agree with Krishna who says, one hero who tells you now bang a thali, who tells you light a diya. I mean, we are dealing with 130 billion people. We are not dealing with a 100 person community or two villages or one state. So I don't think you can mobilize this kind of people with these kind of gimmicks. They they are seen through now. Um, so of course Gujarat and I talk to people and say, "Have bolo to khai." You are right. Nathi chaltu. And then finally they say, "Chelle to apno manas," which means in the end he's our man. Which means he's a Gujarati. I think this is the narrow frame that we are the next. You're a Muslim, you're your caste, then your state, and the national identity coming way back fifth, sixth, seventh. And that is because the core values of what is being an Indian in terms of our constitutional values has not been enough taught, practiced in homes. I think that's where we need to practice them to really to really change. And therefore, maybe lastly, I would just say, what is the role of civil society in all this? Um, I think we have to rethink. We will have to stop being government contractors, just doling out, becoming what I call dalals between one project and the other. We have to talk to our funders who have been making us also into dalals and therefore say, excuse me, our core role is to animate, is to educate, is to protest, and is to be creatively finding alternatives. I think that is the decentralized model of investing in education, investing in health, investing in agriculture, and looking at non consumer based production systems and a far more decentralized industry based. Um, yeah, I will stop here. If there's any other question, I'm just at. Yeah, there are samples of villages and sarpanches and panchayats made their own lockdown procedures where that level of leadership has taken over and says, to hell with the rest, we will manage our own little space. That's the way I think I look at decentralized way of looking at. Yeah, a lot of friends here I see um, who have been here. Kalpana, really, I and each one of you, I don't take the name of everybody, but thank you for listening and be safe and take care of yourself. And I think let's take this time to really reflect um, and really reimagine and redesign our role as civil society. That's how I would see it forward in the coming 2 years and 3 years. Thank you so much. Take care. Love you all. Bye bye.